Hey guys, welcome to How to Take Care of Your Pet Tortoise, a tortoise's habitat and heating. Let's get to it. So, what we'll be talking about? In this video, we'll be covering the habitat and heating of a tortoise. All the links will be cited in the video and bio. We'll be covering the general habitat of a tortoise, what habitat should you give your type of tortoise, and how does temperature apply to their habitat and lifestyle. Some basic context: tortoises are herbivores, reptiles, they are cold-blooded, and generally there's two types of tortoises, dry and humid species. The general habitat of a tortoise. The general habitat of a tortoise differentiates between species and location, and it needs to suit it for its needs in size, material, humidity, and heat or light. This will vary with inside and outside tortoises. Tortoises will need to bask in the sun, so lighting it will play a big role and importance in the enclosures and habitats. The tortoises that live inside will need a UVB heat lamp, because tortoises need to get UVB from the sun, but as they are inside, they can't actually get from the sun, so they need a lamp. In addition, their cages need to become bigger depending on their size, because they grow really, really quickly, especially with dry tortoises, which grow really, really fast and have a lot of energy. So you'll also need to make it safe. Tortoises outside generally don't need lamps, as they will get the UVB from the sun, and as long as the habitat is suitable for them, they don't need to go into shelter, so they don't need any burrowing or any stuff like that. Big tortoises do better outside because they're not in danger from birds or other predators. Small tortoises are good prey against birds and other animals, obviously, and they should have protection of some kind to keep them safe. Over here we have an inside enclosure. You can see the heat lamp and the tortoise. It's inside, it's safe for them, they won't be able to fall out, and there's a little bare area, water and food. So this one's a really good one. Over here we have a big outside enclosure. You can see some tortoises here and there. There's a light mesh, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a light mesh over the cage so that birds and other animals can't actually get into it. For example, raccoons, they can't get into it. And then it's well built, it's big, especially because dry species tortoises get really, really big really, really quickly. And that you'll need definitely a big yard for that. And they have their inside house, water, always need fresh water, especially for outside and inside technically, because there's a heat lamp too. And that's it. This is it for the general habitat of a tortoise. Let's continue. What type of habitat for your type of tortoise? We'll be looking over here more specifically at the habitats that you would need for your type of tortoise, and we'll also be seeing images in the next slide. So, over here you can see we have tortoise, material, humidity, size, and light or heat, and dry or humid species. We'll also be talking about inside and outside tortoise in the same slide. So, for dry species, material should be grass and a hint of sand, or just wood with grasses and all that stuff. This is a pretty good mix with grass and wood, definitely sweeping sand. You shouldn't have too much sand, it's too hot for them. So a little bit of sand would be good. For humidity, you want it a bit dry or a little bit humid. You don't want it too humid because it's not good for them. Besides, it really depends on the tortoise. Dry species get big really, really quickly. So if you have, for example, a baby tortoise, if you get an enclosure just for it, you're probably gonna end up losing it in a few months because they get really, really big really quickly. And light and heat. In general, they should always have constant light, as long as not nighttime. They should have constant light, and they need to have a place to burrow always, because if it gets too hot for them, they could go into a little barrow or the little house. And for human species, over here for the material, you should have wet dirt, grasses, wood, again, are also good. Dirt, all that stuff, plants. Plants are also good because they provide shade. And inside or outside, you should have these in general. You shouldn't put wood in there. You shouldn't put sand in it. For humidity, you should be wet or humid, somewhere like that. Not too much, but not little. Size, they don't get too big, obviously, because they need to be able to move through trees in the wild. But it shouldn't be small. They should still be able to move. Humid species don't tend to move a lot compared to dry species, and dry species move a lot because they keep in general, they're very energetic, as we said earlier. So they keep moving, so it needs to be safe for them as well. And for the human species, they don't get too big, but you will need an actual well-sized enclosure. And for light and heat, the same thing really. They need to be able to have access to shade or bearing, and they should, as long as daytime, they should be able to bask. Sorry. And over here we have some examples. These are for the dry species, and we have the human species over here. You can see that we put in a big enclosure, inside enclosure, and outside enclosure. And same thing for here. Let's start over here. We have this tortoise over here. You can see there's a layer to shade and sunlight, water, and food, which is good. This is a good example. Over here we have what they have in general, obviously. It's a bit dry. You don't really see anything. Wood, dirt, some grass, some plants over here. And this is the inside house. We have the two UVB light bulbs over here. We have over here wood, which is pretty good. And this I would not recommend. Don't put high places. They might fall and they will get injured or stuck upside down, which is not very good, especially because it's wood. Over here you can find bearing areas. So this is a good example, except for the whole tower thing. Over here we have another one outside. You see there's a lot more plants over here, and it's more humid. There's you can tell that there's more plants over here, and there's water. It's dirt. It's unlike here. There's a lot of sand here. You see a red-foot tortoise. And then this is another example. Sunlight. This one's a bit small, I know, but it's the only one that I can find. Over here you have some sunlight. UVB light over here. That's actually a heat lamp, and that's UVB. Some plants over here, bearing areas. So these are really, really good examples. And you have the citations over here. Let's continue. How does temperature apply to their habitat and lifestyle? Okay. So as we said earlier, tortoises need to bask in the sun for UVB and heat. More specifically, UVB is needed as it helps the tortoise make vitamin D3 in their skin, which helps them absorb calcium, which, as we said in an earlier video, helps with bone and cell structure. And if they don't have UVB, that can lead to illnesses and pyramiding, which is not good. Over here we have some pictures, obviously. A tortoise eating grass. This is a sulcata tortoise, if you were wondering. In the sun, obviously. They're basking. This one also is basking. You have over here a lamp. Another lamp tortoise is basking, and one more tortoise is basking in the sun. Again, basking is really good. It's a natural thing. You don't have to force them to do it. They know what to do it. You just need to provide them the sun or the light. And my tortoise does it too, so it's normal if it's not like burning itself. But always make sure that your tortoise has a place to hide if it gets too hot. As we said in the last video, in General's video, tortoises bask and then go hide, bask and then burrow, because they need to keep the temperature at a certain level. If they get too hot, they'll just crisp in the sun. They need to be able to either provide shade, a little house, for example, like this box right here, or let them burrow, for example, in sand or dirt. Sulcatas always burrow in deserts, and that burrow provides shelter for a lot of animals, not only sulcatas. They also provide shelter for lizards and snakes. And we have over here the citation, and let's continue. Thank you guys for watching the habitat and heating of a tortoise. Subscribe, ring the bell, so you'll be notified when I upload next time. And have a good one.